Welcome to another episode of Out from the Horrorbox. I'm your possessed host, Dom, and in this episode we'll be taking a look at the 2023 Australian supernatural horror film directed by Danny and Michael Philippou and their feature film directorial debut, Talk to Me. The trailer alone for this film made me so excited to see this, and from word of mouth, I heard it was probably going to be the best film of this year. This episode's coming out just a little late. I just got a new job, so I've been working through when I'm going to be putting the episodes out now. So everything might shift a little bit or might be updated. But without further ado, let's grasp the hand and let it in. Starting online with a successful YouTube channel, Raka Raka, Danny and Michael Philippou would post fake fails, hijinks, and just a couple different things. They were picked up by U.S. talk shows, and in 2014 they posted a Harry Potter versus Star Wars duel that was watched 11 million times and won them a trip to the U.S. Danny and Michael jointly directed the feature, with Michael writing along with Bill Heinzman. They said that they had learned a lot about filming through trial and error. Eventually, they worked on set of the 2014 horror hit that put Adelaide on the map internationally, The Babadook. I was driving around The Babadook. Lead actress Essie Davis was when I was around 19, and I said I was on my P's, so we saw how things were run, Michael says. If we hadn't had that experience, I went from YouTube to film, I think it would have been a big slap in the face, but we knew what we were getting into. Talk to Me is co-produced by Causeway Films, Bankside Films, and Talk to Me Holdings, and is a presentation of Screen Australia in association with the South Australian Film Corporation, Adelaide Film Festival Investment Fund, Headgear Films, and Metro Technology. I know a lot of Australian films, like Canadian films, they have like a board and they have to go through a lot of like things they have to get just to get like produced and just to start up in production. It's not as kind of loose. I mean, I'm not going to say that it's loosey-goosey here in America, but I mean, you could just make a film by yourself without any involvement of a studio or big production, and you can get your film shown anywhere. And a lot of these different countries, like you said, in Australia or Canada, they have boards in which you have to submit. You have to like go through this, and you have to go through a lot of regulations and rules to get your film off the ground. And that's why they have so many different things like that go into building, the film. And sometimes it's for good, like it's a lot of help that they get, but sometimes it's a lot of bad because sometimes some of the regulations are in place, like that can just kind of shut things down. The Philippous worked closely with producer Samantha Jennings, a co-founder of production company Causeway Films, and known for producing the Babadook. We talked about her in that episode. So she's familiar with Adelaide. This is the filmmaker's hometown. For Danny and Michael, credited with keeping the pair grounded and helping to shape Talk to Me. The Philippou brothers have said that they are committed to filming or at least doing post-production in Australia for all future projects. Talk to Me sold to numerous international distributors at the 2022 Cannes Film Festival. It had its debut in a preview screening at the Adelaide Film Festival on October 30th, 2022, the closing night of the festival. The film had its European premiere at the Berlin International Film Festival and also screened at South by Southwest that same year. The film also had its Canadian premiere at the Fantasia International Film Festival on July 23rd, 2023. The film had its world premiere at the 2023 Sundance Film Festival in its midnight lineup. After the premiere spurred a bidding war with Universal Pictures and others, A24 eventually won and acquired the rights to distribute the film in the United States, which I'm so glad, because I'm not saying, Universal may have pushed it off a little bit more, maybe not promoted as much. I'm so glad A24, this is really in the wheelhouse of A24 rather than like a Universal Films, and I feel like Universal may have asked for like cuts or maybe something here and there, that's what a lot of studios like to do, and I think A24 is a better studio to put this out anyways, because I feel like they can recognize, younger talent and people who have these newer upcoming ideas that are just out there, and I think it's way better. And Talk to Me was theatrically released in Australia on July 27, 2023, before releasing on the following day in North America, the United Kingdom, and internationally. So right off the bat, the Philippous had a lot of experience working with their YouTube channel, putting out content, and then working on a set, especially one like The Babadook, which really helped to get them that experience that they needed for a bigger budget, especially like a film like this. And so moving from there, and I'm knowing that I think they were offered something here in the U.S., but they eventually did turn down because they kind of got to see the behind-the-scenes mechanisms of Hollywood, and they were kind of put off by that. So they were like, let's go back. They went back to Australia. They started working on this Talk to Me, and I'm so glad that they did that, because it allows them to work on something that, would probably never get made here. And if it did, there would have been a lot of cuts and a lot of more interference with certain things here and there. So I'm kind of glad that they were allowed to do their own thing. And let's just get straight into the film.
Have you seen the group chat? You're doing it again tonight. No. Please. It's my mom's Remembrance Day. I just want to forget about it.
Who's up?
I'll do it.
Cannot go for more than 90 seconds. Am I clear?
What happens after 90 seconds?
They want to stay. Light the candle to open the door. Blow it out to close it. Put your hand on it. Now say, talk to me.
Talk to me.
What did the hand feel like?
It felt amazing. I could see and feel everything on the other side. So my mom, she was trying to reach out. I'm here. Still been seeing stuff.
You mean saying stuff?
What if we opened the door but we didn't shut it? Oh my God, they followed us. I like him. They're not gonna stop. They're never gonna stop. They like you. Talk to me.
Cole, played by Ari McCarthy, is called to a packed house party to locate his brother Duckett, played by Sonny Johnson. Duckett has been acting disturbingly, with cuts and bruises on his body. Cole gets Duckett and his things up and is escorting him out of the party when Duckett attacks Cole with a knife before killing himself. 17-year-old Mia, played by Sophie Wilde, is struggling with the second anniversary of her mother, Ria's, death, and her emotionally distant relationship with her father, Max, played by Marcus Johnson. She has found solace and unofficially adopted into the family of her best friend Jade, played by Alexandra Jensen. Jade's family consists of Jade's mother Sue and Jade's little brother Riley. They are played by Miranda Otto and Joe Bird, respectively. There has been a social media trend going around, with clips of partygoers becoming possessed and acting bizarrely at parties hosted by fellow students Haley and Joss. They are played by Zoe Terracas and Chris Alozio, respectively. Jade, Mia, and Riley sneak out to one of these parties where Haley and Joss introduce the main party attraction. A mysterious ceramic hand they claim contains the severed, embalmed hand of a deceased spirit medium. Supposedly, it enables people to see and summon a spirit, as well as becoming possessed by them. Mia volunteers to participate in the séance. While holding the hand, Mia says, "Talk to me," and is shocked to see a randomly summoned spirit sitting across from her. She then says, "I let you in," and becomes possessed. The spirit possessing Mia focuses on Riley, implying that the spirit's like him, and violently resists being banished. Josh separates Mia from the hand and blows out a ritual candle, successfully banishing the spirit, but not before going over the prescribed 90-second safety window. With pressure from Jade's boyfriend Daniel, played by Otis Tahanji, and from Mia, Jade reluctantly agrees to allow another party at her house. Haley and Josh attend with the hand, and the group entertain themselves by taking turns becoming possessed. Riley volunteers, but Jade and Mia say that he is too young to try. Jade and Daniel leave the room, and Haley and Josh convince Mia to allow Riley to try the hand. Riley takes the hand and says, "I let you in." He becomes possessed by what seems to be the spirit of Mia's deceased mother. Mia begs for more time to speak with her mother, but Riley is overcome by some force and begins to brutalize himself, smashing his face and trying to claw out his own eye as he is violently thrown around the room. The teens try to keep Riley from killing himself and eventually pry the hand from his grip to end the possession, though they have gone well over the 90-second limit. A severely injured Riley is hospitalized and kept in a medically induced coma, because whenever he awakens, the still possessed boy tries to kill himself anew. Mia begins seeing a shadowy spirit following her who resembles her mother. Mia asks Daniel, who Mia used to date and still has feelings for, to keep her company after the harrowing trauma of the day. Mia awakes to find herself sucking on Daniel's toes after becoming possessed in her sleep. Daniel leaves, and Mia uses the hand to summon her mother to talk. A spirit resembling her rotting mother appears and comforts Mia, telling Mia that she did not kill herself as Mia had feared, and insists that Mia needs to help Riley. Mia leaves the connection open and begins seeing her mother without holding the hand, even as she steadily loses her grip on reality. The group meets to discuss what has happened, and Mia confesses that she is now seeing spirits even without the hand, believing this might be due to her going over the time limit herself. Josh confesses that the previous owner of the hand was Duckett, who also said he began seeing spirits outside of the seances before his violent end. The friends track down Duckett's brother Cole, who explains that a living body naturally expels invading spirits, so Riley will become better if they simply stop all contact with the spirit world, get rid of the hand, and wait it out. Anxious to speed things along to help Riley, Mia wonders if maybe they had forgotten to blow out the ritual candle, which shuts the door on the connection, during the struggle to stop Riley, and that might be the reason he is still possessed. She proposes that they try it again, and this time ensure that the ritual is properly ended, which will hopefully stop Riley's possession and enable him to heal. At the hospital, Mia places her hand and Riley's on the corpse hand and say, "Talk to me," causing the spirits of a young girl to appear. Mia asks the little girl if she knows where Riley's spirit is, or if there is any way to see where Riley's comatose spirit is and speak with him. The girl says yes, and Mia sees a terrifying vision of Riley surrounded by spirits torturing him. Mia continues to see the grotesque spirit of her mother after she returns home, who pushes her to help Riley, insisting that he is in pain and needs to be put out of his misery. Once dead, Mia can be assured that her mother will look after him in the afterlife and he will be safe, away from those Mia saw torturing him. Mia's father confesses that her mother committed suicide and reads Mia her suicide note. The spirit who looks like her mother tells Mia that her father is lying, because he is not her father, but rather is possessed by an evil spirit. Believing she is being attacked, Mia inadvertently harms her real father. Convinced by the spirit who appears as her mother that the only way to save Riley is to put him out of his misery, Mia tricks Jade and Jade's mother into leaving Riley alone and enters Riley's hospital room. When Mia is still unable to kill him, Riley takes the appearance of a rotting spirit, and Mia believes she must kill this interloper to free Riley. After discovering Mia's father's bleeding in his house, Jade rushes back to the hospital to stop Mia, with all the spirits urging her on and deep in the throes of delusion. Mia takes Riley outside and prepares to push him into oncoming traffic. However, at the last second, Mia is hit by a car. Injured and greatly disoriented, Mia wanders the hospital, seeing flashes of Jade, Riley, and her father, but being unable to reach them. Left alone in the dark, she sees a welcoming light in the distance and finds herself at a college party, sitting across from a man and holding his hand. He says, "I let you in," as she realizes she has died and become a spirit herself. As of the weekend it premiered, Talk to Me has grossed about $22 million, with a worldwide total of $26 million. Talk to Me was originally projected to gross $4 to $5 million from about 2,000 theaters in its opening weekend, after making $4.2 million on its first day, which includes 1.3 million from Thursday night previews. Weekend estimates were increased to $10 million. It ended up debuting at $10.4 million and finished in fifth, marking this the best start for an A24 film since Midsummer. On Rotten Tomatoes, the film holds a 94%, with an average rating of 7.8 out of 10. With the website's consensus reading, with a gripping story and impressive practical effects, Talk to Me spins a terrifically creepy 21st century horror yarn built on classic foundations. Metacritic assigned the film a score of 76 out of 100, based on 44 critics, indicating generally favorable reviews. And audiences polled by CinemaScore gave the film an average grade of B+ on an A+ to F scale, which I feel like is still too low for this film. I think this really deserves an A+. Damon Wise of Deadline Hollywood praised the film, writing, "Though it employs some familiar tropes, the film does not attempt to do something new with an old idea. For one thing, making the crossing of infernal thresholds seem like an awful lot of fun." Chris Brumbury of Joe Blow also praised the film, writing, "The cast is terrific with wild and appealing heroine. However, Joe Bird is best, with him perhaps delivering the best possessed performance since Linda Blair in The Exorcist." So then, in August of 2023, Danny and Michael Philippou revealed that they have already completed principal photography on a prequel film, with a story exploring Duckett's backstory, which leads into the character's introduction in the original movie. Production was completed consecutively from the perspective of screen life storytelling through mobile phones and social media. Sonny Johnson features as Duckett, and the filmmakers stated that they intend to release this project in the future. Additionally, the Philippous confirmed plans to develop a sequel, seeing that they were already written sequences for that project. And I think there's only, with this being having a sequel, I think there's only like a couple of A24 films that actually have sequels. And honestly, this is a world that I would like to explore a little bit more, especially like that beginning part with Duckett. Yeah, you really can see like a prequel film coming and leading straight into this, which is like you never want to just make a prequel film or a sequel or a requel or interquel, any kind of sequel, right? Just to make a sequel. Like if there's no reason for it, then you probably shouldn't make it. I mean, because most of the time sequels are made just to capitalize on the success of the first one. And so for this, honestly though, it kind of actually has a reason to live, right? Because it's like we're going to explore this character that we briefly got to see at the beginning of the film, which was essential to understanding what was going on with, how to stop whatever it is, right? And I'd love to explore that. Like, how did he get the hand, right? Where did it come from? Like, you could probably, that's probably what the prequel is going to give us, like, more exploration of that. And the sequel would just give us more into, like, where the hand goes. And, like, maybe all of this, it, like, leads into more of a bigger thing in the future, or, it could go so many ways. I mean, obviously, they have a whole idea. They already knew where it was going to go. They already knew where it was coming from. And this idea that we got a snippet in, like, the timeline of this idea is what I like. I like that we were shown, like, into this world, but we didn't know what the beginning was. We don't know what the ending is. We don't know where it came from. We don't know exactly where it's going, but we're going to see it. We're going to get that through additional films, and I like that. I like that idea. So I'm really excited. They really, and I'll get to my final thoughts, but they really did, like, hit it out of the park with this. I'm so glad that A24 took a chance with, I mean, obviously they already had produced it. They already had the film done, but A24 was like, you know what, we're going to give you guys wider distribution because we know that it can stand and it can make money, and you guys have something here that's not just a generic film, just another generic possession film, just another generic horror film that we get. And I'm glad that they see talent, and that's what A24, and I love A24 for this, is they see, people who are giving these ideas that we wouldn't have got had we just stuck with the old model of, or the rut that Hollywood's stuck in right now, right? Of just banking on sequels and remakes and big blockbuster films. You need these, like, more smaller, quieter films to, just entertain, to give art. That's what filmmaking is. That's what it truly is. And I think that's why we've kind of lost our way, at least the big studios have, and they're losing their way. And eventually I think that's going to come around, and we're going to turn, and it's going to be like a quieter, more a renaissance of these, like, more not period piece, but these like more artistic, more indie focused, more smaller films rather than these big budgets. And we're kind of seeing that now, where we're seeing, like, the movies that do best are the ones that give us fresher takes on things, that are like Barbie, something we've never seen before. I mean, we've kind of seen it before, but you know what I mean? Like, it's something that we haven't seen yet. Oppenheimer, we hadn't seen that. So just giving us more sequels after sequels just isn't working anymore. And I think most of the studios are going to end up having to move away from that model. Well, yeah, let's get straight into my final thoughts. Talk to me. From the very first trailer I saw, I was like, yes, this will be good. I really thought it would be kind of like a Flatliners type of movie, where, like, the main characters are, like, addicted to interacting with the dead, and we kind of see them using it as a way to get, like kind of get a high, or, like, drunk, or you just get, like, that feeling, off of it. but quickly that devolves in the movie, like into what we see with like the younger brother Riley, and you're not expecting it, and like you're just like taken for like a left turn out of nowhere, and the idea that he's like stuck in this like other world and he's unable to expel like the spirits that he allowed into his body, and they're just like destroying his body is ridiculous. And now, having seen the film, I can honestly say this is probably the best horror film of the year, at least so far. It's gruesome in the right way and just chilling. The idea of seeing the dead and then letting them inhabit your body is creepy. I love that the film relies largely on like the plot and the characters rather than the special effects. The jump scares are too much gore. The feeling of like dread after seeing like what they're doing to him is honestly horrific, because you get a glimpse, you just get a small glimpse, right? And then they don't show you for like the rest of the film. They just don't show you like anything beyond that, but you can feel it there, like it's still there looming and letting your mind fill in the gap of like the torture that they're putting him through. And it's like it's such a like psychological thing to do rather than like just keep showing us. And I just like the subtlety of like as Mia becomes more and more, falls into like these like possessions like here and there, where she wakes up and she's like sucking on I think Daniel, his feet, and it's just like what? And then like as she doesn't realize she's becoming possessed when like her mom is showing up, or like whatever this thing is, that maybe it's not even her mom, it's just something that's taking the form of her mom. And then when she sees like the kangaroo, which is, I admit was a little bit funny, because it's like, oh, it's very Australian, but what other animal are you gonna do? A dingo? That'll just scare all the Australians away. But yeah, like it comes back as a spirit too, like she can see it. And this movie was just so good. I love that like they just took this idea that we hadn't seen before. I mean, we've seen possession stories before, and like the one critic said, like, yeah, like just like the Exorcist, like the guy who plays Riley, he does a great job, and Sophie Wilde is great. All the actors honestly are really great. They're really good. Like you just believe that they're inhabiting this world, that she's really like feeling still depressed from her mom passing away, feeling that like that trauma still there, that that space between her and her dad are still there, and that's kind of what helps to get her persuaded to attack him, is because there's that space that's between them. And then just the effects that they place on the practical effects that they use on the dead people, it's just so subtle enough that it's good. It's like there's nothing that's too over the top, nothing that's too like there really isn't too many jump scares in this, and I'm glad for that, because you don't really need to rely on that. But when you do get to see something more like jump scare-y, like it works. It's so effective. And this being their first film, for Danny and Michael Philippou's first, their directorial debut. I mean, sure, you could say that, oh, well, they had experience because they were, but they were just like PAs on the Babadook. They got to know Samantha Jennings, and they got to know these people through working that job. But this is their first project where they got to helm it themselves and be in charge. And I'm just so glad that they were allowed to do what they do. Nobody stepped in and said, hey, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that. And maybe they did have a little bit of that with, I know it said that Samantha Jennings kind of helped to shape it a little bit, but I feel like she really was more and you can kind of feel that from the film. Like, it was more like, I'm going to let them do what they do. They know where they shine. If they probably needed help, it was more like getting the budget together, getting the production together, getting this or getting that. It wasn't really, I feel like, probably the story was mostly them. I know that there was another writer, but honestly, it makes me excited again. Just like back in like the mid 2010s when, you know, you got to see Robert Eggers with The Witch, and you got to see Hereditary from Ari Aster, or like It Follows from what's his name? I forgot his name. But those films, people who actually get the genre and they understand it and they know how to craft these stories because they're fans too. Because they understand, like, you know what, you can't just fill a movie with jump scares and, ooh, there's a monster and here's a bunch of CGI and everybody's going to be like, that wasn't that scary. But if you give them true dread and true terror and this feeling of horror, that's when people actually will like the film and will be excited to see what they do more. And, you know, honestly, I haven't seen any of their YouTube content, but I'm really wanting to check it out now because I want to see where they started. I want to see, like, because I love doing that, where you go back and, you know, you look at somebody's earlier works and you see, like, oh, I can see that now. I could see that shaping, like I did with Crimson Peak, the previous episode. Having been a fan of Guillermo del Toro, and seeing other films like Nightmare Alley and The Shape of Water, and you get to really see, like, oh yeah, Crimson Peak, I can see where he's going with these other films. And even in something like a Hellboy too, you could see the influences that are there. I'm just really glad that yeah, like someone with experience like Samantha Jennings, you know, like, saw their talent, helped them to develop the idea into one of the best horror films in like the last couple years. Their direction's on point. The acting from beginning to end from the beginning to the end is stellar. The story is unique and fresh, and I could gush about the film all day. I really love this film. I cannot wait to own this on physical media because, and that's maybe I'll talk about that in another episode, but that's something we need to start doing now too. Because a lot of these companies with their streaming, they're just going to start deleting all of this content that people worked hard on, that writers, actors, you know, directors, producers, everyone from the top down, you know, the caterers, the even if it's just like animation, you know, the people who drew it, who worked on in the computers, all the effects people, you know, these people who actually worked on this stuff, worked hard to create something for you guys and create content. You know, they're just having their livelihood just deleted off of and out of history because they don't want to put out like this physical media. And I say, we need more of that. We need them to start doing this so they can't just take it away and say, oh, you're never going to watch this ever again. And I love this film. Give it 10 thumbs up. If I had 10 thumbs, I'd give it 10 thumbs up. So did you like Talk to Me? Did you think it was overrated? Was watching everyone drive on the wrong side of the road upsetting? Did you get upset by the dying kangaroo? Let me know on your socials. Thank you all for listening, and if you like what you hear, please subscribe to get every new episode downloaded. Do you have any strange or mysterious or unexplained stories? Are they fact? Did you craft the story yourself? If you'd like us to read your stories, you can email them to horrorboxpodcast@gmail.com. We'd love to read them on the podcast. We'd also like to post those stories to our socials on Instagram, Threads, or TikTok at Horrorbox Podcast, where we also have updates and news. One last thing, if you like the podcast and would like to support the podcast, you can buy me a coffee. You can buy me a coffee at coffee.com/horrorboxpodcast. It would really help out. We'll see you next time and hear what comes out from the horror box.